Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good, from science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
More happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good and the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Rafe. And I'm going solo this week because Zach is out of town. And those words you just heard were from John Keats and his Ode on a Grecian Urn, which will be the impetus or the main topic of discussion today. But we will take the Ode on a Grecian Urn and twist it and morph it and fill it with some stuff, some buff-naggly goodness, and see what comes out the other side. So, hey, before we get started, I want to say thanks to all our listeners out there. We know you're there, and we appreciate you listening. As usual, we can be reached at bufnagle@bufnagle.com. We are on Twitter and wherever we're out on the internet. The other day I got an alert on my phone and it just, hey, remember, listen to the Buff. So we are everywhere out there and we're everywhere you need to be. Hey, give us 4 episodes and we'll see if we don't give you a reason to come back for more. And we appreciate all the new subscribers and all the 5 stars you give us, because if you give us a 5-star review and subscribe, I get pudding, and Zach gets brownies, and that is a very, very good thing. All right, John Keats, the Ode on a Grecian Urn. This poem, I guess I first heard of this probably in something like the Peanuts comic strips back in the day, and I'm sure Linus was studying this, and everybody else was struggling with it. John Keats wrote this Ode on a Grecian Urn back in 1819, when he was 25 years old. He was one of the Romantic poets. The Romantic poets were a group of writers writing in the aftermath of some of the great wars in Europe after a failed French Revolution, and then the Napoleonic Wars that followed, a time of looking anew at the world and all that is in her. Science was blossoming, and the Renaissance had run its course. We were now enlightened, and everything was being looked at fresh. And the Romantic poets were doing romantic poetry, mostly in England. And Keats was the young one, and he wrote this poem, like I said, at age 25. So the topic of this poem is I guess we'll call it a stylized Grecian or Greek urn. And an urn, is a big vase, and they typically are decorated with scenes of important things. I don't know, maybe hounds on a fox hunt, or maybe some damsels picking grapes in a vineyard or something like that. And there are different interesting things on these urns, and the urn that Keats is discussing has basically 2 pictures on it. Okay, he talks to the urn and he kind of asks questions of the urn, and then he realizes what it is saying back to him. So the urn is in the poem. It's this symbol of old things, right? Things that are at risk, things that have always been known, but he's seeing them again. Seeing them again for the first time, and he describes what he sees in this poem. All right, it is 4 stanzas, and it's written as as an ode. So it's kind of flowery, and he was a Romantic poet in the early 1800s. So you can imagine this is going to be a little bit, lots of apostrophes in words to get them shrinkified and make sure that they meet the meter and the rhyme. So it's very odish, and I will do my best to read it that way when we go through it. like I said, there's 4 stanzas, and there's 2 scenes that are described. One of them is of young people. I guess we could say they are chasing love beneath the leaf-bowed trees. So it's a scene of two lovers trying to get together underneath the trees. And one is it's kind of an interest. It's I don't know if it's opposite of that, but it's certainly discordant with that. It's the scene of a sacrifice of a cow at the hands of some ancient priest. There's some ritual, some sacrifice of an animal, and the whole town has come out to watch this sacrifice. So the poem starts off with kind of a general statement about the urn, and then two stanzas of the value of love, and then a stanza of the sacrifice of the cow, and then kind of a grand summary of the urn. So maybe did I say 4 paragraphs? It's 5. It's 5 stanzas. It's kind of like 5-paragraph essay that you had to write in high school. But it's 1 about the urn, then 2 about the lovers, 1 about the cow, and then 1 finally about the lesson to be learned. So, and then at the end, we're going to get a famous line from this poem that I think everybody knows. We will get the line that beauty is truth, right? And that is all we really need to know. That's what we come out of this poem with, and that has become kind of the catchphrase of this maybe this era of how you look at poetry and how you look at life. But that's the lesson from the urn. That's what the urn will teach us. So let's read through this and find out what it says. We'll go through it, and then like any great poetry, it takes time to look up all these words and see what they really mean. We'll do it. We'll do it once through, and then we'll go through and pick out the important things. So here we go. The Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. What leaf-ringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals or of both, in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these? What maidens loth? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared. Pipe to the spirit, ditties of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss. Though winning near the goal, yet do not grieve. She cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. Forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy melodist unwearied, forever piping songs forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead, and a parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadst thou that heifer lowing at the skies, and all her silken flanks with garlands dressed? What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk on this pious morn? And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can ever return. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou silent form, doth tease us out of thought, as doth eternity, cold pastoral. When old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou sayest, beauty is truth, truth, beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all you need to know. That is the Ode on the Grecian Urn. That takes some this takes some digging, and let's see what we have in here. This, like I said, this first stanza is the introduction to the urn. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, foster child of silence and slow slime, Sylvan historian. I have to look up these words. I don't know. Maybe everybody else knows these sort of things. Sylvan, Sylvan. Sylvan is means of the woods. So like and Sylvan is the woods. So like Pennsylvania is Penn's woods. So an unravished bride of quietness. All right, so there's a bride, a foster child of silence. So this is an urn that is sitting quietly and has never been broken or defiled, and it expresses flowery tales more sweetly than rhyme. So this urn can tell stories. The urn can tell stories that words cannot, okay? What leafed ring legend haunts about thy shape of deities or mortals in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? So he's going to ask the question, what are we going to get from you? What kind of stories are you going to tell? What men or gods are these? What maidens? Who are all these people and what are they doing? Tell me the answer. That's where it starts, okay? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. All right, songs you hear are nice, but the songs you don't hear, the ones you feel, are sweeter. And therefore, soft pipes play on. Play me these quiet little songs, not to my ear, not to the sensual ear, but more endured. Pipe to the spirit, ditties of no tune. So play me some songs right to my soul that do not have a tone. And these are the songs, all right? Fair youth, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave. All right. So these guys, there's a guy, you got to imagine, I think of it this way. There's a guy and there's a girl and they're under the tree and they are, how do we say it? They are trying to get it on, I guess. And but they're stuck, right? They're in the stone and for eternity, they are stuck underneath this tree and they are close. Okay. Though winning near the goal yet, don't grieve. Okay. So he's really close. He's trying to get the kiss. And he can't, and he's stuck forever there. And Keats is looking at the urn, and he's saying, "I feel for you, man. I mean, I see how you want to get to where you're going. I see how you want what you're trying to get. But you know what? Forever you shall be there beneath the trees. You cannot leave. All right. And those trees will never be bare. They will never lose their leaves. You will never get older. You will be young. You will be bold, but you can never kiss. All right. But don't grieve." He says, do not grieve. She cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. You're not going to get the kiss, all right? But forever will you love. You will always love her, even if you're stuck in the stone there. Okay? You always love her. You always feel this way, and she will always be fair. She will never get old. She will never get ugly. She'll never rip on you for forgetting to pick up milk on the way home from work. All right? She's never going to do any of those things. This moment of near perfection is going to stay right there. You are stuck in the stone. Okay. Oh, happy, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves nor bid the spring adieu. This is the tree. This tree is stuck here. This is always leafy. It's always pretty. We're going to have this happy, happy love here, but you know what? It's never going to get finished. You are stuck in this perfect place. And here I am, I'm Keats, and I'm looking at the urn, and my life is progressing. My life is moving. My life is changing. My life is growing. I'm getting older, and I'm learning things. The things that are always important are changing and morphing, and we've seen all this in this recent upheaval of civilization that we've seen over the last 50 years or so. That's all changing, but you're staying fixed, all right? You're happy, happy boughs. You cannot shed your leaves. More happy love, more warm, ever warm and still to be enjoyed. And then this becomes like, this is a really passionate thing, all right? forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young. You will always be chasing. You are, I mean, for let's let's cut right to it. There's some heavy eros in here, and that is a wonderful feeling when you are young like that. And all breathing human passion far above that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Right? He is the people in the urn, on the urn, stuck in the stone, are like that forever. In this wrapped picture of the strength of Eros, but it's locked, it's frozen in stone, in a near perfection. But you know what? He's stuck. He's stuck. He's not going to get the full joy and maybe the sorrow that will come with the continuation of that scene. All right, and then we switch to the other side. All right, this fourth stanza is the stanza of the sacrifice of the cow, which is interesting relative to the amorous scene we've seen on the previous two stanzas. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? So he's looking at there's a cow and a priest getting ready to do what they do, how they do the sacrifice, and all the people are there. They're watching the sacrifice because it's part of the civic rite, I guess. Right? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leads thou that heifer lowing at the skies with all her silken flanks with garlands dressed? So they take the cow and they dress her up because she is going to be sacrificed to whoever they sacrifice to, whatever the pagan worship rite is. That's what they're going to do. What little town by river or seashore or mountain built with peaceful citadel is emptied of this folk this pious morning? So it's a pious morning. It's a big religious day. Maybe it's it's the annual spring feast or whatever it is. They are sacrificing the fatted calf, probably, way to think about it. And all the folk are out there. They're all there. And the urn does not tell you who these people are. These people are like the people on the other side of the urn. They're stuck in this situation forever. The little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can ever return. So we will never know who you are. We never know what town you are from. We never know why you're sacrificing the cow. But this is a piece of the human experience, the piece of life that we're witnessing here. And there you are on the urn, stuck in this position where your town is empty. We know not who you are. But that's the picture on the other side. So on one side we have the raving erotic scene of the two lovers beneath the tree, and that's on one side, and on the other side is the sacrifice, the two sides. Now I'm not exactly sure how I ought to think about those two in context with each other, in juxtaposition, I guess they would say. But in the end, we hear about the urn in total. Okay, so this is the thing that we have learned from this in looking at the urn. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, forest branches and the trodden weed, thou silent form dost tease us out of thought as doth eternity. All right, the silent form, the fact that the urn can't speak to us, teases us as does eternity. Eventually, we will be dead. We will be cold, pastoral. We will be like the farm. The animals on the farm all die. It's a beautiful bucolic setup, but it's cold. The poet Andrew Marvell says in To His Coy Mistress, the grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Eternity is a long time, and it's not very nice. It's not very much fun, and it seems to me like he's realizing there's two choices, right? We can live the way we are. We live the life we have, or we're stuck like the guys on the urn, and we just sit there frozen, and we cannot tell our stories. We can never fulfill our longings. And we would be stuck, but we're either stuck or we spend eternity cold in the earth. So, it's in that sense, it's kind of a downer. Okay. But last little bit of the last stanza. When old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain. Right? The urn will stay. It will always be there, or at least until you break it and put it in the dumpster. Right? Or when old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours. Other people are going to have their problems in the future. They're going to look back on the urn. All right. A friend to man to whom thou wilt say, right? The urn will say to the people who have problems in the future, just like the urn says to us now, beauty is truth and truth beauty. That is all ye need, on earth, and that's all you need to know. So in a certain sense, there's like all of these things are problems and issues and concerns and eternity. And like, how do we deal with that? And the answer is that beauty is truth and truth beauty, and that is all ye know on earth. That's all you really know, but that's all you need to know. So you got what you need. All right. So this is an interesting thing, I think, because as he goes through and learns from the urn, he does urn learning. It seems to be almost a downer here. The silent form does tease us out of thought, as does eternity. This is a scary thing. We are aware of our mortality, but the recompense for that, the thing that makes that worthwhile is the one thing we know, and the one thing we need to know. The only thing we need to know is that beauty is truth and truth is beauty. So this beauty and truth thing, we talk about this a lot on this podcast. We talk in terms of a triple: truth, beauty, and goodness. We say, and these are Greek ideas that go way back to our friend Socrates, and it's written about. Plato talks about how Socrates presented these ideas. All right, and this is a really tough thing. All right, I've read this a couple times now in Plato's Republic, Book 6, and Socrates gives the analogy that light gives sight to the eye, and by doing so encourages the eye, or us, to seek the source of that light. All right. So just as light gives sight to the eye and encourages us to seek the source of the light, so too does beauty allow the soul to seek truth through the source of the beauty. Okay, so beauty is a thing that comes from the ultimate good, okay, and encourages us to seek that ultimate good. Okay, so these ideas of truth, beauty, and goodness, they are what are called transcendentals. Okay, and they are primary goods. They are things that are good unto themselves. All right, and they are things that are good for their own sake. All right, and our soul, our who we are at our core, is ordered toward the ultimate good, and truth and beauty point us that way. Right, so beauty is truth. So the idea that there's something that draws us toward truth, that is truth, right? That is the one thing we need to focus on, and we need to direct our souls toward those things that are beautiful and true. All right. Now, like I said, these go back to Socrates in Plato's Republic, and they point us to the ultimate good, by aligning us with truth, beauty, and goodness. Okay, so now these ideas, if you go back, if you go read, I'm not going to read it to you because it's one of these conversations that Socrates has with Glaucon in Plato's Republic, Book 6. In Book 6, we see these ideas about light and the eye seeking the light and the source of the light, and the soul seeking seeking truth through beauty, which is the source of all of that stuff. And he gets very complicated with how he does his analogies. But it's important to keep in mind this ordering of these ideas, that these Socrates ideas go through Plato to Aristotle, and then they come down to us and eventually to Keats through Augustine and Aquinas. Okay, so it's not, I guess it's not surprising when we realize that the early Christian church, while it grew up in a Roman territory, right, in the area around the Mediterranean, which was run by Rome, the whole culture there still swam in Greek waters, I guess is the way to put that. All right, so the influence of Greek philosophy into Christian thought should not be surprising. Okay, this idea that Socrates leads to Plato, leads to Aristotle, and then Augustine, and then Aquinas. That direction is really. You can read Aquinas, and then you can go back and read what Aristotle said, and you can see them. They're all aligned to that idea, right? To these ideas of these transcendental goods, right? And Socrates wasn't sure how to describe them. Aquinas had a model for doing that in the Christian Trinity. And so we can see how these ideas go from Socrates all the way through Aquinas down into Keats in the early 1800s. Okay, so 1800 years after Paul argues with Greek philosophers at the Acropolis in Greece when he's on trial. Okay, 1800 years later, the truth and beauty transcendental still remain in the Western psyche. They're permeating everything we think about. Is these ideas? Although the spirit of the age, okay, the zeitgeist that was swirling around Keats was decidedly less Christian than say it was in the 1200s when Aquinas was writing. So the urn, Keats Grecian Urn, carries these immortal and enduring ideas through time. All right, the urn carries these ideas in its stories that it tells through its pictures, in its stories that, how does he say it? These who can thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. Okay, the pictures on the urn carry these stories forward. Right, the past speaks to us in the present to those who will listen. All right, so if you look at what was back then, even with all the foibles around it, right? If you look at what's back then, it will point you to where we are now and help you get through these days when you may feel like you're like when the old age this generation wastes, thou shall remain in the midst of woe other than ours. Okay, so when things are bad, when we're on the thought of eternity and a cold pastoral infinity, these thoughts should give us solace. Okay, and this, it's interesting, at least to me, that this reminds me of another Keats kind of thing, and that is the movie The Dead Poets Society. All right, now this movie came out in the mid '80s, I think, starring Robin Williams as a teacher at a boarding school, a New England boarding school for boys, and they were. And he kind of shakes things up, okay? And what's interesting to me is his character's name is not Keats in the movies. His character is Keating, which to me seems like it lines up pretty well. He spends a lot of time talking about romantic poets. But one thing that he does is at the beginning of the movie, he takes the boys in his English class and he takes them out of the classroom and he puts them in the hallway by like the trophy cases and stuff in the school where, they won the rugby championship and then they won the spelling bee or whatever it is they won. And then there are all these pictures, these old pictures. And I'm sure you've seen these in your old high school or in any of these academic institutions, the class pictures from bygone eras. Okay. And Keating, Robin Williams' character, takes the boys out to the hallway, and he has one of them read a poem called "To the Virgins to Make Much of Time," and the poem it's very short. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. And Robin Williams, Keating in the movie, tells the students that the term for "gather ye rosebuds while ye may" is the Latin word for that is "carpe diem," and "carpe diem" means seize the day, and that became a very popular phrase in the mid to late 80s about how you ought to live your life. Okay, and Keating brings the boys out to the hallway, and he shows them the trophy case, and he shows them the old pictures, and he says, "Look at all these guys that are here. They are just like you." Okay, and then he asked the students, why did the poet write the words about "gather ye rosebuds while we may"? Why is he saying "seize the day"? And the answer is, he says, quote, "Because we're food for worms. Because we're only going to experience a limited number of springs, summers, and falls. One day, as hard as it is to believe, each and every one of us is going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. And I would like you to step forward to the trophy case," he says to them, "and peruse the faces of the boys who attended this school 60 or 70 years ago. You've walked past them many times, but I don't think you've looked at them." And the boys go to the trophy case, and they look in, and the camera zooms and shows all the pictures of these boys back from the early 1900s. And Keating says, "They're not that different from you. The same haircuts, full of hormones, invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make their lives into even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Lean in and listen. Do you hear it?" All right. And then Robin Williams whispers, "Carpe diem, seize the day, make your lives extraordinary." And this is what the Grecian Urn is saying. All right. He says, you're going to die at the end. We're out. We are going to be fertilizing daffodils. We're going to be food for worms. We shall lie in eternity in a cold pastoral grave. And there's one thing we can do, and that is live extraordinary lives. We need to know that beauty is truth and truth is beauty. Those are the transcendentals. Those are the things to which we need to point our lives. We need to seize the day. The pictures in the trophy case, in the movie, speak to the present, right, from the past, and the urn speaks to the present from the past. And the urn tells us that beauty and truth are transcendental, and they point you to the good. Right? Carpe Diem says, make the best of what you got here now, because you're going to be worm food. All right? Gather ye rosebuds while you may. Carpe Diem. Beauty is truth. Truth is beauty. So I want to encourage you guys all to live extraordinary lives. All right? Seek the good, be the good, spread the good, and enjoy the adventure of life.